firstly, let us just say I'm sorry that there's such a large gap between videos. I'm working on another video at the moment, but there is some editing to do on it, and it's taken me a while because I have to fit that in between my job and my other projects. But I wanted to make a slightly quicker video today on an instance of... It's difficult to describe it without making it sound like an immediate condemnation, which I don't want to do. So this might be a two-pipe video when I sit and mull this through. Now, we're all aware, I assume, of the habit of race swapping in modern media, which is to say they'll take a character of a certain ethnicity and then basically present him or her as a different ethnicity in a more recent form of media. And Wizards of the Coast, which is a company that does Dungeons and Dragons and the Magic the Gathering card game and a few video games, they've seen fit to do this with some Lord of the Rings characters. They've just brought out a deck of cards for Magic the Gathering. I'll show a card here so you know what I'm talking about. And they decided that they were going to make some of the characters from Lord of the Rings different ethnicities, basically. They did this with a few of the characters. And I won't say it's caused outrage because I haven't seen anybody outraged about it. I know a lot of the people who think this is a good thing will say that, oh, these people are outraged, but I think that is mostly untrue. Others certainly don't approve, I will say that. Now, I don't want to purely talk about the films and stuff where they have to use actors, because I believe that's a different thing. There is good reasons to change an ethnicity if the actor brings something to the role. Like, for instance, Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption. Michael Clark Duncan, sorry, he played the Kingpin. The list goes on. And they all brought something excellent to the role. But this is a different thing. They decided to draw a picture of somebody and they made it different. And I wanted to muddle through that. The official reason Magic the Gathering gave, Wizards of the Coast rather, was that it is so people of the ethnicities that they've changed the characters to. The main character I think of here is Aragorn, who was one of the major heroes of Lord of the Rings, and he did actually have a description in the book. He was described as having shaggy black hair, streaked with grey, and a pale face and grey eyes. And now a picture of the Aragorn card will appear somewhere on the screen. I'm getting good at this editing shite. And of course, this has kicked off a few debates, and this video is my attempt to join this debate. Now, I think I should address a few things first. I've got very little... This doesn't affect me at all. I don't play Magic the Gathering anymore. I've got some cards up there. You could possibly see a box there. But I don't play them anymore. I certainly wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't boycott the game purely because this happened. I know a few people might do that. We've had a load of hoo-ha about people not drinking Bud Light because they got a rainbow in the can, which I don't understand that. I can understand you're not drinking it because it tastes horrible, but yeah. But yes, I'm not indignant. Not outraged. I don't think they should have done it, and I'll explain my reasons. But the other thing is a lot of people who will hit out against this. The vast majority won't be, but there will be a few racists who don't like this because they're racist. And a lot of people, if I say I don't like it, may level that charge against me. So I have to address. I can't say. I don't think it's appropriate for me to say if I'm racist or not, because I think that's actions speak louder than words. Because of course I'm going to sit here and say I'm not racist, but I hope I'm not. But people will have to, and indeed will, judge that for themselves. So I've had a few conversations with people. I showed a few people in the office when I was at work. I said, look at this new card, and most of them actually just laughed because they thought it was ridiculous. And I had one friend who went into it as in, well, does it make any difference? And that was something of a paradoxical argument, because if it makes any difference, why not do it? And then I says, but if it makes no difference what colour it is, why would you change it in the first place? And you can run round and round in that. And again, we come back to, they did it because they feel that a black person can relate more to a black picture on a card. Now, I can't say that. I can't, because they could say, well, do you not, associate better with, like, when it's a white protagonist? And I would have to say, well, that's something I've never lacked. So I wouldn't be able to say if the lack of that would affect me, because even if it did happen once or twice, I mean, I got through all 7 or 8 seasons of Tokyo Diner, and there wasn't a single white face in that. And I was in the 3rd season before I noticed, but that's one thing I watched. And I was watching other stuff between episodes, going back, and there was always a white English-speaking guy there. Heterosexual, whatever. So there are some black people who have kicked off about this. They feel they've been insulted. They feel that it's condescending and patronising, that they people feel they're not emotionally or intellectually, capable of relating to a white person. Or a person of a different ethnicity. There was a few ethnicities involved here. There's some, I think Gandalf's Hispanic now. But I do fully believe that the reason they did this was they knew it would kick up a stink. I'm a very cynical person. I don't think they did it because they thought, oh, we've got to be equal and we've got to be seen to be, fair and helping minorities who are being oppressed and this, that, and the other. I honestly think the bottom line is they knew that if they did this to the cards, one, they'd look virtuous, Two, everybody would talk about it. Case in point, I'm talking about it now. And it's free advertising. There'll be people buying these cards just so they can look at them. There'll be other people buying these cards so they can virtue signal. And of course there'll be a few people possibly buying the cards because they like the cards. And then we're back to square one. Should you or shouldn't you do it? Well, if it makes no difference, why do it? But if it makes no difference, why not do it? And then it comes down to personal taste. And we are somewhat stuck. I personally believe that they had, hidden motives, which I've said, like, that are trying to just drum up a bit of business for themselves by causing a stink. And that is my main concern for race swapping, for gender swapping. Because although I do believe that at times it is altruistic, and I do believe many times it has been done for the right reason, it does upset people, and I do think that sometimes it has just been done to upset people. And to me, if there is a race problem, we'll say, if there is a division between ethnicities, like black and white, or Hispanic and white, or everybody and everybody else, if there is a division, then you should be very careful fucking with people's negative emotions just to make a few quid. I've always said you've got to be emotionally intelligent for anything like this, and although it sounds ridiculous, because as we said, if it doesn't really matter, so why do it or why not do it? If you're gonna do something just to piss people off, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it if it's purely a move just to annoy people, even if that benefits you, because we need more calm people in the race to be able. We don't need less calm people. We need more. And I know it's just a silly card in a game, but it does represent something much larger. We do see a picture. A picture speaks 1,000 words or something along them lines. And I think this picture, it's just wrote itself from a novel, among others. If you are going to do these things, again, like if you do anything, you must examine your motives, you must be sure of them. You must know what's going to happen when you do it, and you have to be careful, because again, I mean, it sounds ridiculous again because it's a little drawing on a little card, but we'll look at the symbol, the swastika, I would say. That's just a little drawing on a little card, but that kicks everybody off. I was in a temple in Tokyo, and there was the swastika. It's not a swastika, it looks exactly like one, but it's all over this temple because it's also, I believe, a Buddhist symbol. And I nearly fell over when I saw it. I'm like, what's all this doing here? And there was some cards to explain its relevance. And of course, right in the card, it's got nothing to do with the Nazis. And, that's a good thing. But it would be interesting to hear from people. It would be interesting to hear if people do find it more relatable if somebody is like the same colour as them, or the same, or shares characteristics with them. I can't say anything because I've never not had the privilege of seeing somebody on a screen that didn't look like me. So for those who don't, it would be interesting to hear from you. I have heard from other YouTubers, black YouTubers, Young Ripper and just some guy. Neither of them think this is a good idea, but that's just two people. And they're entitled to their opinion, and they both seem to be reasonably intelligent and well adjusted. But I would be curious what the wider consensus is. Because in a little picture in a card, you do get something of a view of how society is shifting. And that can either be great or terrible. Anyway, I've bored you long enough. Have a good rest of your weekend.